Hello, America. Wait, no, that's no, because other people. Okay, hello, the world. No, okay. How
You're also
about
clipping when you do that.
shit? Okay, let me turn down my mic. Okay. Hello, my name is Marshall, and today you're watching the Sunday Podcast. My co-host Putty is here, and today we have a guest, Graham.
Hello.
Putty, what's on the roster today?
Uh, I I have no clue.
Podcast.
That's a good start.
Well, we what have we decided to do? We're gonna go with Modgate. We're gonna go with
I think we
political.
should start with Modgate.
Are we actually doing a gaming podcast then?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, great. Topic I know nothing about.
So do you want to do something else?
Yeah, Graham, come on. You like gaming. Anyway,
This is the
Don't really have any news on
This
it.
is
I have
the
a
last
nose in the books A levels next week.
this is the last podcast about before the election. So if you wanted to do that, this is your last chance.
how about we talk about I thought we were going to talk about both the politics and the gaming.
I think that's a bad idea.
Well, all your ideas until now have not led us that far, Putty. It's time for Marshall to take the reins.
All right. Hands off. All right, lead us, almighty leader.
We're all in the carriage to fame. No, so today we have a guest. It's been a really long time since we've had a guest. What has it been like? 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a whole year?
I don't know, leader. Shouldn't you know?
It's a podcast. You're allowed to talk, buddy. Okay, fine. I don't know, but I think it's been about a year. So let's start with you, Graham. What have you been doing this week?
To be honest, you couldn't have picked a more boring subjects. What I've been doing this week is more or less having my nose solidly in and out between the A levels that I'm presently studying and like the same three games: Counter-Strike, Dota, and a little bit of KSP because of the new update, which might be worth talking about because there's been a pretty big update to KSP.
Well, usually we let people talk about whatever they want to in the beginning as far as their life. So, what's the update to KSP?
Well, I don't know whether you guys have been playing it for.
Just to clarify.
I know you had a little phase where you were into it, but I don't even know whether Paddy owns the game, to be honest. But no, they basically, essentially, the KSP community has been asking for the same few features for years, and finally in 1.0, they've basically added all of them. So
Can you guys
you might
clarify what
remember
the game
from
is
when
for
they.
people?
Sorry?
Can you just quickly go through what the game is for people? I know what it is, but just.
Essentially, it's like a. It's sort of
You're
like
not
a
very good at
goofy
explaining
simulacra.
games. Marshall, can you explain what the game is?
Oh, thanks.
You're
Sure.
not. You're like, Dota's like rugby and chess. You know.
That's lifted straight from free to play.
KSP stands for Kerbal Space Program. Let's start there. It's in a world filled with not people, but these weird sort of green things called Kerbals. And you start basically where mankind would have started at the beginning of the space race, sometime in like I don't know, I would say the 50s. And your whole the whole point of the game, it's an indie game, I think. The whole point of the game, it's been in development for like 2 years now, is to develop your space program, eventually get into orbit, and then eventually go to other planets, your moon, whatever. You can explore your whole solar system.
It's like a slightly scaled down version of our universe. The scale of it is pretty much unprecedented when it comes to the kind of spaces you're dealing with. Or, I mean, there are a lot of coding efficiencies in the game to make it viable, but essentially, I think it's like a quarter of the size of our solar system, with a couple of planets that aren't in our solar system added in.
Is there anything outside of the solar system?
You can go on infinitely until your computer runs out of memory.
But there's nothing to explore outside of the solar system besides
Not outside your own solar system, but
Gay.
the game is in continuous development even past 1.0. But no, the main thing that's came out with the KSP update, of course, is the fact that they've made the simulation even better by actually adding a full sort of spline-based aerodynamic system to it. So, now you can sort of surf on the air currents that you're causing from re-entry and stuff. And there's, you have to take into serious consideration how you're going to shield your, surface to orbit craft from the heat of the atmosphere.
Okay. Putty, have you played the game?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Well, I've played it a little bit. I think it's decent. I'm not that good at it. I've never really gotten a really good space program running, mainly because, the fucking aerodynamics. Let's just say I should not be an astrophysicist. Well, no, that's not the right word. I'd like to be an astrophysicist, but I should not be a rocket scientist.
So, Marshall, you shouldn't be stacking shelves, because I've seen some of your craft.
It's like not rocket science, guys.
On one side and nothing. Well, no, as they say, how hard can rocket science be anyway?
It's pretty fucking hard. Anyway,
not with Jebediah on your team.
But yeah, I mean it's a decent game. So I'm glad you're enjoying the update. Wait, have you actually spoken about the update at all?
We had now. I mean, they've added new physics. They've added female Kerbals.
What do you mean they added new physics?
Well, they've changed the physics engine entirely. They've revamped it so that it works with the aerodynamics.
They haven't created new physics.
When it was incorporating the effect of aerodynamics, essentially you had a number of parts, and each one of those parts had an aerodynamic resistance value, and then that would connote to a certain heat value at certain velocities, etc., etc. Like it was just number crunching. Now there's an invisible system where, as you travel through air, it compresses against surfaces and things, and actually it's a full-blown simulation on an isolated thing. And what absolutely bamboozles me is this, incredibly complex spline-based system, which is sensitive to things like coverings and things of your craft. So it just surprises me that they've managed to optimize that along with everything else they're doing, especially when you consider that it's built in Unity, which is, as far as I know, still a 32-bit engine.
Okay.
It may no longer be correct, but...
Putty, what have you been doing this week?
Well, this week I decided to take my sabbatical from school, which is you only need to be above 92% to still get paid EMA. So I've got like 20 days, 21 days before that happens. So I'm just taking the next 21 days off.
What, really?
Yeah.
Just like, fuck it.
That's what I've done for the last couple of years. I call it my end of year sabbatical so that I can de-stress.
Is no one looking for you?
Nope. Not at all.
Jesus. No, everyone's like, fuck it, it's
Today I got sampled for my history coursework and I wasn't in, and I got a text like, hey Pad, you got sampled, nobody's looking for you because you finished. And I was like, hey, that's good. Everyone else is like stressing. I'm like, hey, whatever.
Whatever, it's sabbatical, man.
I get to chill. It worked last year. Yeah, it's de-stress time before my exams. No revision until a week before, and then
return to the winter glacier.
Right in.
Or blue glacier, sorry.
But yeah, it's been chilling. It's been relaxing. I've done nothing but chill, watch wrestling, play video games, usually related to wrestling. So it's been a good week.
What games have you been playing?
I finished Human Revolution, Director's Cut, finally. Got back. That final level is really good. Like that Panchaea, really good level. There's shit tons of excellent story there. I think the dynamic of the game completely switches when you get there, because for most of the game, if you're playing a lethal style for most of the game, you got to deal with single enemies, usually in a silent way. If you're not going silent, then I guess there isn't much of a difference when you get to Panchaea. But if you're going silent and you get to Panchaea, there's now like 20? You might be able to give me a more accurate number, Marshall, but I'm not sure. 20 enemies in a room in Panchaea?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a shit ton.
But when you're playing non-lethal, oh god, like I had 50 stun gun bullets, 50 tranquilizer darts, and like 20 peps gun ammo, and still I couldn't, like, I was also going ghost though. I was going ghost non-lethal, so I couldn't let them discover me. I had to stealth around, and they act so erratically, and you've got to have the stealth cloak. I just don't think there's a way to do that level without the stealth cloak ghost.
Non-lethal, yeah.
It was the first time. Well, Ghost
Ghost
lethal.
in general,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was the first time I got the Ghost bonus on Panchaea, because it's just so hard. It's so hard. It's ridiculous.
It's difficult as shit.
But yeah, and the Darrow conversation battle is awesome. The last conversations with Taggart and Saraf are amazing, and then the final boss fight's alright. Probably a little underwhelming actually, but it's alright. I lost where the limb clinic was, by the way. It's the first playthrough. Where it was the first playthrough I was searching
Wait,
for
you couldn't find the limb clinic in like Detroit?
in Panchaea.
In Panchaea?
Yeah.
Oh.
In most
You're like,
playthroughs,
I need the limb clinic.
In most playthroughs, I just stumble across it, but I couldn't. I was looking for it in this one. I couldn't
Did you
find it.
need something urgently at that time?
No, I just wanted the 2 last praxis kits.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was because I think they would have taken me to maximum praxis. I was like, I want them. I want to get every single augment, but
Yeah.
I missed out
Yes,
on the
Superman.
Icarus landing system. Was the only one I didn't get in the end. I got
Yeah,
it, but I lost it during Missing Link, and then didn't pick it back
Adam
up.
Jensen has to get all of his augments for the next installment of the series.
I guess that's one thing they could do to say that he doesn't have all his augments, to say he didn't unlock them all.
The player sucked.
Now you
It's
only
like, which player? The default player sucked. The canon player was horrible at the game.
It's one of the most distinct choices that you can make in Deus Ex Human Revolution to do with one of your augments. Like, the one that makes the biggest effect on gameplay is a chip in the mind, or what was it, like an update that Lim offers you for free.
Oh yeah, but I like first playthrough is the only time I got that. Like halfway through the game, for people who don't know.
Would you like to update GLaDOS?
Yeah, you start experiencing glitches and you start seeing people fall over and stuff, and then suddenly you learn that there's an updated biochip that you can install. But spoilers, later in the game, that biochip can be used to shut off all your augments temporarily. So, and then it comes into effect in the penultimate boss battle,
Which is a branch on the story, so it's inconsistent as to what augments Adam actually has for the line of argument you were pursuing.
Well, it's inconsistent anyway, because you don't... Like, that's not an extra augment. That's an updated biochip, which isn't really the same thing. And, like, you don't... Like, you've got to unlock your augments anyway. Like, your Casey...
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, because they're all on him, aren't they? That he just unlocks the ability to use them, rather than actually, has anything bolted onto him. Yeah,
which, like, spoilers... He doesn't really need to do that, because he's the Wunderkind. He has the DNA that's capable. He could have handled all that from the start.
Yeah.
I never asked for this.
He never asked for it. Yeah. You pick that dialogue option and she gets pissed at you. She's like, I don't know what they've changed you, Adam. I hate her so much.
That's probably why in the trailer it's just him killing everybody then.
Like,
no, I asked for this.
I want to see...
Finally.
We never get to see Megan's mother after we find out that, spoilers, Megan is alive. So I want to see that interaction. Maybe Megan never goes back, though.
There was actually a spoiler there, I didn't know that.
How have you not?
I haven't completed it yet.
Megan's alive.
I got to the last level on console and then Alistair broke my disc.
Well, if you want to mute yourself for 5 minutes, or maybe 3, then I'm going to...
No, it's fine. Spoilers don't bother me that much, because I like to... I don't know, I'm more engaged by the meat than the overall narrative, to be honest. I like the world building that Deus Ex does.
Yeah, I don't think spoilers ruin Human Revolution that much, because there's so much hidden shit that ties things together that you can never spoil everything. It'd take hours. But...
And this is, of course, Square Enix we're talking about here.
Yeah, they didn't make the game, though. They just published it.
Yeah, but they're notorious for over-designing things.
Yeah.
Which in Deus Ex works, because it's, like, all lore.
I mean, I haven't played a Square Enix game since the one that came out the year of my birth, so I couldn't really tell you about modern Square Enix. So, there you go. But this is like I say, I want to see Megan and Cassandra interact, but we don't even know if Megan goes back to Detroit, because we definitely know in the ending she goes to Bob Page. So I don't even know if she even goes back to Detroit. What do you guys think? Maybe Marshall more than...
I think she does.
Permanently or just temporarily?
I would definitely think she visits.
Yeah.
Maybe not permanently.
Well,
but...
she can't visit if she's like involved in that project. Like it'd have to be like before then.
you could visit.
Nah, it's super secret, man. They're creating the Dentons.
Yeah, but you could be secret. You're like a rogue. You're like, hey, mom. It's like, whoa.
Well, in that case, couldn't she have done that when she was working in Singapore?
Yeah, but she's a stupid bitch. She learns things. You know?
I don't think she does. I'm working with an evil supervillain. I know that's real generalization, and it didn't really work out for me. Now I'm gonna work for another evil supervillain.
You gotta pay them bills.
She's probably freaking loaded.
Maybe, yeah, no, probably, yeah. Hey, what can she say? You know, she's very good in the evil supervillain community as far as her resume. It's like, oh,
you worked for Hugh Darrow? Aha, you're on board.
sign you up.
Could we get a reference from Hugh? Could we have him?
Could we tell him how much information you ignored, and how many evil plots you just swept under the rug for him?
How questioning were you of just
yeah?
sitting?
Did you question at a medium amount or at a low amount? Obviously not a high amount, or else you'd be dead.
Yeah. Like Vasily Savchenko, for example.
Yeah.
You
know, hypothetical question.
You don't last long in this industry asking questions.
Say?
What?
Shark?
Wait, what? I missed it.
All I heard was shark.
Repeat it again.
Hypothetical question. If your boss says jump, what do you say? What, shark? Never mind.
Jump what, shark?
Exactly, yeah.
Is that...
I think you jumped the shark with that one.
It's like, you know, not even the cliff. You want to fall off the cliff and then into the shark's mouth. But...
Oh!
I thought it was a reference to jumping the shark.
Yeah. I just imagined that like a shark was gonna catch him romantically and save him from the cliffs.
Like a
so
shark.
We all have different interpretations. like
left shark for the win.
Yeah. Okay, so any other games besides Deus Ex you've been playing?
I'm trying to think. I've been playing a shit ton of TEW 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Which is basically like the Football Manager of wrestling.
Pro wrestling. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, kind of. Except like the comparison
doesn't show the games going on. I'm assuming. Yeah.
But like.
Surprised at you, buddy. I would have thought there'd be a far more pertinent one that you'd want to mention.
I played like an hour of it, like 3 maybe.
I'll talk about that.
Okay.
I played quite a bit of it.
So yeah, I liked TW. I wasn't having too much fun with the real life mods. I wasn't having too much fun with the comic book and anime mods. But I've started just playing in the default universe and building a really small company, and I like that lore. It's fun. In a sports management game, I like the lore. Yeah, god damn. But still, yeah, that's what I think that's all I've been playing. I've been playing my FIFA. I play FIFA when I have some spare time, and been playing a little bit of Dota.
Just a little. Well. Just a little.
I played like 3 hours on Saturday.
Maybe in most recent times, but I mean, you binged on it during the holidays.
Yeah, but we're saying the last week.
These are my holidays.
We always do it by the week. But yeah, this week I have been playing basically 2 games exclusively, I believe. Actually, I did try out a game. I'll start with that. Graham, I tried out a game that you recommended.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Called, what was it? It was Apocalypse something. Oh, no, I can't. It was about cults. It was about forming a cult.
Oh, Apocalypse Simulator. No, sorry, Cult Simulator. Simulator.
Something like that. And basically you ran around picking up people and bringing
your ice cream van.
And the CIA eventually like cracks down on you, or it's the FBI. And like the whole thing of it is building these motherships before the FBI gets to you. Anyway, it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird.
Yeah. And have you seen the ending?
Is this Cult Master?
No, Cult Simulator. It's the premiere in cult simulation. So.
Also, I've been playing
top of the line.
A lot of Killing Floor 2, which both of the gentlemen in here bought. Before I talk about it,
is this on Steam or?
This is on. Oh, the cult thing. Yeah. It's a free game. You can just get downloaded offline.
Website somewhere.
I
Yeah.
can't find it. When I type in Cult Simulator, the first thing
I
comes up
don't
is
think
Cult
that's what
Master
it's
2.
called. Let me find it. Let me find it for you.
Is it
I
Cult
don't.
Master 2?
I don't think that's it.
By the way, I type in Cult Simulator on Steam, and Bad Rats comes up.
Really?
Yeah. One of
Well,
us.
it's an equally bad game.
There's nothing
What are you
that
talking
is
about?
equal
Cult
to
Simulator's
Bad Rats.
brilliant.
Yeah. I haven't even played it, but I can tell you it's better than Bad Rats.
You think?
I know Marshall. I gave Marshall Bad Rats. He started playing it. And he's like, oh, this isn't so bad. By day 3, he was like, it doesn't even make sense. This isn't how physics works. Things fall through the plane.
It didn't make any sense after a while. But yeah, here while you guys tell me your general, like your quick opinions of Killing Floor 2, I'm gonna find out what this game is actually called.
So try following up through a Cursed Farms. I think he left a link to it.
No, I actually
Yeah,
have it on my computer. I can just look for it.
I was.
Anyway, what
Graham,
were
you can
saying?
go
I
first.
thought you. Never mind.
Killing Floor 2, Graham, what do you think? Because you played more than me.
Uh,
Yeah,
well,
either.
I think you and I are going to have some quite differing opinions. Personally, I prefer it. I think that they've done an awful lot with. See, the thing is with me that Killing Floor has always been sort of a very well done hash of a generic formula. It's something that's pretty simple and not all that you know what do you call it, high concept, but at the same time it just works. It's a fun thing to play with friends for a while. It's sort of a good game to play in sort of short play sessions, and yeah, I generally prefer it. It's a lot more professional than the older games, and I just feel like the the commitment of movement and things that was present in the previous games, I don't think is necessary to the game formula. I think Killing Floor 2 is an improvement to me personally in more or less every way above Killing Floor 1.
Okay, so you like it a lot.
He launched it. He launched it.
Who launched what?
What?
um,
You sure?
so while I wouldn't go as far as Graham would, I haven't played nearly enough to talk about it. There's a couple of things that leave some bad tastes in my mouth, but I think probably the most positive comment I can say about it right now is I won't be playing Killing Floor 1 again. So that's probably a good thing. It's replaced Killing Floor 1 as that kind of game. Now, I haven't played it that often, but I played Killing Floor 1 a lot, so theoretically I should play it quite a bit.
Unless Killing Floor 1 is burned out your Killing Floor glands.
Which maybe. It might have. But I doubt it. I'll probably be back one day. Just haven't been up to it lately. That's all. There's nothing wrong with Killing Floor 2. Although there are a few things I don't like. I don't like that it's more modern, but it's still, you're right, it's probably just a net improvement on the original.
A couple of criticisms I would have of it though is at the moment they
Cult
I think they
Tycoon!
need to. That was it.
Cult Tycoon
Yeah.
2, specifically. Anyway, you can download it online for free. Anywho,
Yeah, main criticisms I would have of it at the moment are mainly to do with it being in beta, so you've
What about
got the lack
Super
of
Cult
boss
Tycoon?
variety.
sure, yeah.
Do you have an Enlightenment fan?
Yes,
This
yes,
is
there is an
always
enlightenment ban in it.
But yeah, I will say I've been playing it a lot, and I enjoy it quite a bit. No, well, I played that for like an hour. I've been playing Killing Floor 2 quite a lot, and I didn't play Killing Floor 1 all that much. I really just played it every once in a while for special
Some
channel
ideas for the
events.
event Horizon X Rabid fans.
What?
Getting some ideas of how you're going to deal with the eventual growth of your channel with Cult Tycoon.
Marshall,
Yeah.
can I say you have more hours in Killing Floor 2 than you do in Killing Floor 1?
Yeah, probably.
You have triple.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, shit.
No, that's true. I've just looked.
But anyway, I've been playing it a lot. It's really fun. I would say for the most part, I think most of the improvements are great. I think it is in alpha, so there's a few things with XP is not really that well balanced, and I think they could work on that a little bit. And I think that the XP in general is not broken, but it does have some glitches in it. The XP systems they need to work out. And some of the things are probably something they meant to do that I hope they change. And some of the things are things they obviously meant to do but messed up. But no matter what it is, they definitely need to rework the XP system a little bit. I like the idea in general, but there are some problems with it. As far as how much XP you get for certain things, and that the fact that you get XP at all for certain things and don't get it for other things, it doesn't really make sense in some ways. For example, you can get XP for your medic class while playing as your support class by shooting things with a medic gun, but you can't get XP for your medic class while you're playing as a support class by healing people. So that to me is not a linear that doesn't carry over. That's sort of broken logic to me. It should be either one or the other. It shouldn't be like some half and half. Anyway, but yeah, I think the game in general, the Zeds are awesome. I think the difficulty system that they came up with is absolutely superb. Instead of just making the Zeds tougher and tougher, they make them the same amount of squishiness, but they add effects. Basically different powers in the higher levels, as well as more of them, like Graham said, but different powers to them. So, for example, in the early levels, in the early difficulties, on normal mode and hard mode, clots and cysts and the sort of grappler class of Zeds are just walk. They're just walkers. They just walk up to you and just sort of grab onto you. But in Suicide and Hell on Earth, they're sprinting from the very beginning, just full out, and they run as fast as you, if not faster. They are just full on. In Hell on Earth, the bloats can jump 20 feet in one leap, and they can sprint. Like, everything is way tougher as far as the abilities of the characters. For example, a Husk in the early difficulties can only shoot a fire missile, but in the later difficulties he can shoot a flamethrower, just like a classic sort of flamethrower. There's a lot of things I haven't really seen because I haven't played a ton on the later two difficulties. I haven't seen all of the upgraded powers.
Just to say, we should do that sometime. I didn't know about the bloats jumping and the sprinting of the clots. That's going to be quite an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, you should try out Suicide. It's fun. It's difficult as shit. I wouldn't suggest Hell on Earth at all.
I've only beaten the Patriarch once on Hell on Earth in like 4 years.
I tried Hell on Earth for 2 games so far, and both times I only made it to round 2.
I haven't gone past the original the normal difficulty on Killing Floor 2, but I did beat him once on Killing Floor 1.
Yeah.
Puddy. I just realised something. Slightly unrelated note, but I think this will interest you quite a bit. You know that set of songs that I sent you for Dota 2? Did you know that the Meepo one has gone? Like, it's been completely removed. It no longer exists at all on the internet.
Interesting.
Not only has the curator removed it, but there are no records of it whatsoever.
Why is that?
I have no idea. I've been trying to find it for ages. It just suddenly disappeared from Have Luck, Good Fun.
So,
creepy.
To finish up my Killing Floor 2 before we talk about Meepo. One last thing is like I was saying with the difficulty, it scales pretty well, and also they've made the normal easier than Killing Floor 1 in my opinion.
One sec, Graham, I've just found it.
God damn it!
What?
It's not on Good Luck Have Fun.
Wait.
It's not on Good Fun Have Luck. It's there though.
We can talk about this as the next topic.
Finish it, because I do want to hear the end of this topic. In fact, you can carry on for a little bit longer if you want. This is a good topic. Go on, Marshall. Continue.
Oh, okay. So they made the normal difficulty easier than it was on the normal difficulty in Killing Floor 1, and they made the Hell on Earth, in my opinion, more difficult. So they've sort of spread out the difficulty to make normal easier and Hell on Earth harder, which I kind of like, because it's basically like, okay, we get it. If you thought the first game was too hard, here you go. And if you thought the first game was too easy, here you go. It's like giving 2 options to, and I'm sure there were complaints on both sides. I'm pretty sure.
If I heard right from the devs, if anyone beats Hell on Earth in early access, they're gonna tweak the difficulty to make it more difficult.
If anyone does.
If anyone beats,
one person does.
Yeah, it's true. That's
Yeah.
what I've heard from the devs.
Well, that doesn't
Which is
surprise me.
good. Which I think is a good philosophy. Like,
'Cause I have not made it past round 2.
do you remember the You probably nobody here will, but there were on a lot of the MMOs I used to play, the raids that would come out, you would see like years in 2 or 3 guilds have beaten them. You know, like that on the hardest difficulty. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that level of exclusivity. Similar thing with Monster Hunter. Like there are certain like events that just
It's
like
sort of like something that was created by the devs to be a world record run.
exactly yeah.
Something not meant to be finished by your average man, only by the greatest.
Yep.
The best.
Everybody greatest
best,
men.
The greatest
The
teenagers.
greatest keyboard warriors.
Anyway, but yeah, the difficulty is, I think, an altogether improvement. The Zeds very much improved. I can't see any problems with the changes they've made to the Zeds. What do you want to say?
Can I say that like I haven't fully experimented yet, but this is definitely a massive thing we need to go towards in terms of first-person shooters. Please, can we revolutionize difficulty? Because it's been so boring for 3-4 decades. Can we please, like, even if this isn't the perfect system, can we keep thinking about it? Because bullet spongy enemies are not fun, ever.
Yeah, and I think, and this is a great system because it forces you just to be a better player, not to have more bullets and a bigger gun, just to be a better player, to shoot for the head every time, to line up your kills more efficiently, because they still die the same way. Like, for example, Clots still die on Hell on Earth with one shot to the head, but they can kill you so easily then that if you don't kill them instantly every time you see them before they make it to you, you will die very quickly. Like the gore fasts on Hell on Earth are basically ridiculous. They charge you. One hit takes out 1/4 to 1/3 of your health, I'd say. Like it's really hard. But you're right. The difficulty is not, like you said, they're not bullet sponges. They are truly terrifying enemies. They are the difficulty system is an upgrade in every way. The Zeds, in my opinion, are, and this might be more subjective, I liked all the improvements and changes they made to the Zeds. Very nice. They look better. They look really cool. If you haven't seen the Meet the Zeds videos that the developers put out, I highly recommend it. Gives you a look at
I'm going to check that out.
All the Zeds and an up close sort of. Okay, but don't watch while we're doing the podcast.
No, I meant like in the future. I didn't realize that they had done something similar to TF2 in that regard.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, very cool stuff. And as far as the guns, there's not a lot so far, so they need to add a lot more, obviously, but it's an alpha. Now, Putty, you didn't like the meta guns. I really like the meta guns. They're my favorite.
What was my problem with the meta guns?
I think, I don't know if you didn't like them, but you didn't like the fact that they were red dot sights.
No, meta guns have always had red dot sights. I was talking about just the entire gun roster. A large selection of them have red dot sights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I like the meta guns.
I like the meta guns. I think
the
they're
dart
cool.
system is improved, in my opinion.
I don't like that it kind of auto locks for you.
It still, I miss all the time with it, so it's not super easy.
I guess I haven't played that much.
I miss a lot, and there's always something in the way. Always. It's so annoying. So I don't think it's necessarily like super easy to heal people. If you're in the heat of battle, like you need to seriously like sit down and dedicate yourself to healing someone. You can't just like boom, you're done, because there's gonna be zombies in your way. You might miss. So that person's probably moving a lot. If they're injured, they're moving around like an injured boar. They're just they're running. So it's not super easy, I would say. But yeah, I would say you have to play a little more to get the feel for it and actually form your final opinion. The 3 maps they have are great. I really like Burning Paris. Great aesthetic to it. Really dark in the tunnels, and really fun if you have night vision goggles to go around in the tunnels when it's really dark and just sort of peruse and see Zeds coming out to you in night vision.
How'd you get night vision goggles?
By unlocking the first tier of Commando and Berserker.
Right, I thought.
And Berserker.
Oh, interesting.
Because a Berserker has no flashlights on any other weapons, so
makes sense.
So it's nice for them to have something to be able to see under.
And Commandos always had visual perks.
Yeah. Commandos are. Yeah. In fact, I've been putting together a sort of early guide / first impressions video. I'm not sure if I'll actually put it out because it's kind of rambly, but I kind of I divided all the Zeds into different classes and or tiers, and I came up with my personal idea of what all the classes should do besides just their game purposes. Like besides a commando just supposed to hunt down stalkers, I said that the commando should be focused on taking down quick enemies that are weak to damage. So basically, they should be focused on mass, and Berserker should be focused on killing those few really tough enemies. But Commando could be switched out with a Berserker in my system. Anyway, the point is, yeah, really good game. I've been playing it a lot. I got a little bit addicted to it. I've had to take a break, and I've been playing a little bit of Fallout New Vegas off screen. I don't know.
Don't worry. Your Killing Floor 2 time since it came out is still less than my TEW time over the last 3 days. So it's fine.
Shit.
I played 36 hours the last 3 days, and you've only played 31 since Killing Floor has come out. So
there you go.
There you go. If it makes you feel better. And
makes me feel empty.
And every minute I have not been playing TEW, I've been reading about somebody else playing TEW.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, reading. God, reading for video games. Haven't done that since Skyrim. No.
Well, you can't find videos about it.
What?
You can't find videos on it.
Oh, so you can only find articles.
Pretty much. Well, not articles. They're called diaries.
What the hell?
It's like
you found a book buried like a mile in a desert. Like the only desert in all of the United Kingdom, there was a book buried in it about the video game. You had to dig it up. There was like a dead man's hand clutched to it. You had to pull off his hand.
It's not an old thing or anything.
And by pulling it away, you activated a curse, and all the dead people rise, and you had to shoot them all. And we're gonna make it into a video game.
It's just more exciting than TEW, but. But no, like it's not an old thing. Like that's a really common thing for this game. You see diaries pop up all the time on their official forums. It's just a thing. Yeah. There you
go. So yeah, that's all I've been playing. If there's no other discussions about video games, we can move on to.
So I think we should have an open discussion about Deus Ex.
God damn.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
We dedicated like a full hour to it. One podcast. I think more than an hour.
Most of the first 20 minutes though were, should we talk about Deus Ex? And then
it took us maybe 2 minutes.
And then most of the last half an hour was like, communism, resource-based economy.
We talked a lot about it. Anyway, but I think
which reminds me, I want Graham to quiz you about your resource-based economy.
Yeah, actually, I would like to know more about this.
Well, it's not mine. It was created by a project called the Venus Project, but
what?
I do believe in it.
I'm just gonna go get some popcorn. I'll be
right back. You've lost me now. What do you mean it's created by the Venus Project?
Well, it's a scientific research grant of some sort that in Florida that has sort of been for 60 years researching ways
to tie into resource-based economies.
Well, they created that. They created the theory.
It's been around for years. My understanding of a resource-based economy is basically an economy prior to any kind of bank, where items are valued in terms of their, physical, value in terms of being resources, trading food for iron, that kind of stuff.
We don't trade. Trading is another form of wealth creation.
Oh, hang on. Are they using economy in a scientific sense and something to do with energy or something? How certain states interact?
The resource-based economy and the Venus Project at large is more focused on renewability and trying to use the Earth's resources more. What's the word?
Just economically.
Sparingly. Yes, sparingly. Not using more than we need to, and because the
odd phrasing.
The Earth has enough resources to feed everyone more than they need, and it has enough resources to house everyone, and it has enough resources to give everyone power without using any fossil fuels. But instead, because we live in a system that drives profit and favors scarcity, our technology has been hampered. There is large-scale poverty and starvation. And war is inherent in our society because of this. So, basically the entire idea of this resource-based economy and these sorts of economy theories is that all the problems we face in our modern world are caused by a base
I hate
system.
to tell you, Marshall, but essentially all of what you see around you is only really possible due to some form of global imbalance and inequity. I mean, I don't think we would have had an industrial revolution in the time that we did if it wasn't for us profiteering off essentially robbing other people in the
Well,
world. I mean,
One, no
throughout
one's
history,
saying,
those have always come into power by taking it from someone else.
no one's saying that we could have done the resource-based economy 100 or 200 years ago. But the whole point of this is that we've outgrown this system of corruption and profiteering, okay? We don't need that anymore. Our technology has grown to the point now where everyone can have all their needs met. And that's the simple background of this. I mean, if you want to look up more about it, you can look up things about it. But I'm not an expert necessarily. I think that the current system is the worst possible thing we can continue on. Continue on this path of destruction and
I don't know about that. I mean,
let's just say I will
Winston
not
Churchill
have.
once said, "Democracy is the worst system of government in the world. It's just better than all the other ones we've tried." Or paraphrasing him slightly there, but
Democracy's actually pretty shitty. Like, as a way
yeah.
of running a country. Like, ideologically, I love
We've
it.
actually never tried it since ancient
Okay,
Greece.
it's not a
What you
true
guys
democracy.
thought.
But there isn't a true democracy in the world right now. Democratic systems are still in place, and you can call them democracies, even though they're not true democracies. Democracy, as it's
Senatorial. I like to call them republics or senatorial republics.
Well, a republic is just a country without a king.
They're based on the foundation of Republican Rome.
Here's the thing, though, Puddy. When you're talking about any kind of political system, really, they always work better in their own microcosms. The second you scale them up to the size of something in a country, it becomes prone to the kind of pitfalls that they all have.
Are you
Just
saying
in the case of.
Are you saying local governments do any good?
Well, they don't really have much.
Wait.
I'm always a
saying
little
that
bit
local
jaded when
governments are
talking about sort of the
or the
effects of
problem.
our government nowadays. Because I mean, if you listen to British politics at all, which I don't really, but from the little that I do, I sort of kind of grown to detest it a bit. The kind of things that are
I forgot.
the kind of things that are of any importance or relevance to you are all done behind closed doors.
I forgot to tell you, Putty. I saved this one for you two to talk about it. But Graham here is a bit of a supporter of UKIP.
Well, thoughts? Seriously?
Graham tried to.
What have you got against them? I'd actually genuinely be interested to know what your reasoning would be to be against
Their
UKIP.
political ideologies come into direct contrast with my own, because I am one of the staunchest supporters you will find of the European Union. You could tell me that we have, as a country, make a huge net loss to our economy out of it, and I would still tell you it's worth us being in it. Because it is not economic principles that hold me in it, it is political principles that hold me in it. And, on the other hand, also, one of their policies is to stop immigration for 2 years so that they can get a hold on things. That would ruin our economy, for one thing. Furthermore, they're just not my kind of party. Like, they're BNP light.
Sure that's true. I don't think they're planning to stop immigration.
They're planning on stopping immigration for 2 years. As soon as they get in power,
I would have to
afterwards,
research that, but the present thing that
according to one of their MPs that was on Question Time
they
a month
got
ago.
didn't they all? The main thing that they tend to be pushing at the moment is to do with that Australian point system. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Wait, what's that?
About
Someone tell me about this. The Australian point system. I haven't heard of it.
Well, I mean, Australia.
Are the Australians voting to become a part of the empire again?
No, God no.
It's to do with Australia's immigration policy.
If you've ever sort of been to Australia or know anybody from Australia, you know the place.
You'll know that the desert is horrible, and you stay on the beach.
And know them to be a bit of a nanny state. And the thing is, Australia has this sort of immigration.
What's a nanny state? There's so many questions I have.
Nanny state is a typical Tory way of speaking. Nanny state is what the Tories use to slag off the left.
Nanny as in...
looking after your people.
Well, how is that an insult?
Right, it's
That's
your,
what a government
I
fucking
know
does.
exactly.
You're acting like a nanny to the people, sort of all of the kind of things that are associated with that. That's sort of like a needless, tacked on form of support that doesn't, sort of like
It's how
the
they
whole thing in
referred to the
Britain where
welfare state when it
if
was
you
first
immigrate
created.
here, then you're expected to get a house, and if you have children here, you're expected to get grants from the government instantaneously. Some people might regard that as being a nanny in state because, hey, you should work for your own. You should, attempt. You shouldn't just come here, settle down, have kids, and not work a day of
It's
your
not
life.
just about coming here, though. Like, the nanny state doesn't just talk about immigration. It's also about everyone.
Sorry, hang on, say again.
When you said, oh, coming here and settling down and getting better, it's not just about coming here, though. When the nanny state phrase was first introduced, it wasn't about immigrants. It was about British people, poor people, who weren't able
In
to afford
regards
those
to
things.
benefits and things.
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to extrapolate from this is that sort of Australia has a sort of a fiscal system in place which is very sort of very selective about who it allows into their country to settle there and live there. And sort of when they're talking about an Australian style point system, they're essentially saying like, X amount of points is attributed to some personal detail of you. So, you're coming here for this type of work, or, you have,
Yeah.
I don't know, this much capital in the bank, or however they would intend to, however they would go about actually, determining your value to society or your value to
So this is the point system?
economy. Yeah, so essentially what UKIP is suggesting at the moment is one thing I would like to say though is that one of the reasons that I'm sort of behind them in a little bit wise, you got to understand one thing about me, Puddy. I don't really I hate the political. I can't stand political things. It just seems so pointless
Vote
to me. I
for the
mean,
pirates. Vote for the monster
yeah,
raving. Vote for
yeah, Monster Raving Looney is sort of my, if I was ever going to vote, if I had to be forced to vote for any party, I'd go
No.
Monster Raving Looney
You know,
because I just want to see what would happen if they got into power. But
I get where you're coming from with the political thing, and I know why UKIP would appeal to you.
the
But the
point
thing
what
is,
I was making
you,
though is
you
that
one sec,
with
can I?
UKIP,
Okay, how about I be the referee of this talk?
UKIP,
Buddy,
are,
you can now speak.
UKIP are not an anti-politics party. They're not a working man's party. They're not the party that are going out there saying, "Oh, we're not like the rest of them," like they say they are. They're not.
that's not the rhetoric I'm buying
They're
into. It's
working the
not that at
political
all.
game just like everybody else. They're
Yeah, I'm not buying into that rhetoric. The point I'm making, though, is that in regards to the way the other parties have responded to the emergence of UKIP, it's sort of because I mean the thing is about UK politics is that it's essentially bounced between Conservative, Labour, and
Wait, I
Lib
just
Dem.
realized
Consider-
no, just
and
just
those-
the first two.
some
Yeah.
people in our
From
audience
the
may not
behaviour
know
that I've
what
witnessed
UKIP means. It means UK Independence Party, and you can
Yes.
start analyzing what that means all day.
Well, the direct meaning is independence from a Brussels-controlled Europe.
Brussels?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
that's where the seat is.
Germany makes our immigration laws.
Oh, okay.
Well, in the European Union, they don't tell us who we can take from North
Well,
America.
with people from Europe, they
No, just the
directly
European Union.
tell us.
Russians don't apply to same rules.
Okay, yeah, people within the union, but
And in the European zone, because there are certain EU members that don't apply to the open borders policies that we have. But
Okay, but Brussels is not in Germany.
no, it's in Belgium, right? That's the
Yeah.
seat of the European Union.
Okay.
Well, one of the seats. The jurisdiction seat is in Strasbourg. That's where the courts are. But
Strasbourg.
most of the legislative power is focused in Brussels. If not all, actually. They might have moved it all to Brussels. They've done some reorganization recently.
It's a great city to make it because it's been like in dispute between France and Germany for so many years.
Same with Brussels.
Get to my point though, there, mate.
Sorry, go for it.
My point is that the reason that I'm sort of inclined towards them is because I don't know. I sort of a terrible thing to do when it comes to politics, but because I'm so disinterested in it, I sort of base it on my own personal judgment and character, and sort of very cynically, viewing both their policies and policies that I know about, and also their sort of presentation. And I just find sort of the entire sort of content nature of the three major parties kind of a little bit sickening. So, main reason I'm into it really is rock the boat for them a little bit.
As a member of the Liberal Democrats, there aren't three major parties, there are two.
You've outlived them.
I donate to Lib Dem. I'm a member of the Liberal Democrats.
He's even donated his time.
I've even donated my time.
Right.
I don't fully support the Lib Democrats. I think the Green Party are better this year. But
What?
as a member of the Lib Democrats,
Are you being serious? The Green Party?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Definitely. They're the only ones willing to commit to a scrapping of the Trident program.
Okay,
I'm
I
100%
might
behind.
support you on that.
What is the Trident program?
It's the process of renewing our nuclear weapons to make them more modern over the course of the next 5 years. More modern. To make them
Gotta
modern.
make those things kill more people. Really, they're shit at killing people now. They can only kill, like, I don't know, 12 major population centers now. We need to make sure that they can wipe out an entire continent.
You know, it's all international muscle flexing. No, it's not.
It's also incredibly dangerous. It's like holding a gun up to someone's head and saying, I'm not going to pull the trigger. Well, put the fucking gun down then.
Like, one of the things is, like, people talk about as a deterrent. The man who is probably most likely to be Prime Minister in next Thursday, oh god, next Thursday, or this Thursday if you're watching this, well, when you're watching this, has openly said he's never ever going to launch one. So why have them?
Here's the thing. I mean, I'm not a huge, like, as far as apocalypses go, obviously, nuclear apocalypse on the top of my list.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I would hate a plague. I would hate any astronomical apocalypses like the sun dying out or a meteorite hitting us. So
you're saying you're looking forward to the nuclear apocalypse?
No, I'm not looking forward to any.
I think what he's saying is on the list of apocalypses, nuclear is his favorite.
But like, if someone said, gun to my head, what apocalypse do you want the world to live through? Nuclear. You know, because I think that we have the best chance in that one. But still, it's incredibly dangerous.
You sure about that?
And we don't need it because
I guess cosmological would be worse, but.
Cosmological would be the worst of all possible apocalypses.
What about a zombie apocalypse that only took place in Oceania and the zombies couldn't figure out how to get across the ocean?
Oh, well, that...
Would we save them, or would we say, fuck it?
Nuke it. Nuke Australia.
That's what we need them for.
Yes! See, now if someone proposes that on the House floor...
Yep. You know what? If someone did that, they would win me over so quick.
It's like, well, we call it Scenario Z. It is in the case of a zombie apocalypse, only in the continent of Australia.
In the case of a zombie apocalypse, we reinstate the penal colony. We want a zombie-free Europe. Operation Madagascar.
Oh, no, you could then.
Wait, are we sending them to Madagascar then?
Well, that was the Nazis' original plan.
Hmm.
First it was Madagascar, then it was Siberia, then it was another realm. Anyway.
How nice of them.
Now, here's the thing, though. I mean, it's all very progressive and stuff to, state, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could just entirely abolish our nuclear weapons program? But as me and Puddy had actually discussed a little bit prior to this cast, it's that the one thing that you do have to consider is that, I mean, the idea of a nuclear deterrent only really works if everybody's sort of got a, how do I put this? See, the way I see it is that if there was ever going to be a war a war to end all wars, it would start by some kind of proxy war. It would start by somebody, pushing the wrong buttons with somebody else. And
maybe, I don't know, communist China invading Anchorage, Alaska? I mean, that's
the only way it would actually happen.
Impossible.
Have this idea that if somebody was to launch a nuclear weapon, that all of a sudden,
first we need to take back Anchorage from those commie bastards, and then we launch the nukes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's the thing.
That doesn't happen to me.
Not every nation is going to be involved in your conflict. So, how do I put this?
Every nation gets involved in a nuclear war.
Not necessarily, though, because, I mean, that's the thing, that you wouldn't start one of these wars unless you think you could win it.
No, that's the point. And you would not start one of these wars.
It's not a war that anyone wins. A nuclear war is not a war that people win. When you go to the nuclear plan, the whole idea of it is so savagely savage. It's ridiculous. The entire idea is we're all going to die, so they should too. That's not a war. Okay, that is retaliation at its most basic.
I feel
The thing
referee,
is
like you're
that
slightly
you're
biased here.
discounting one piece of you're discounting one potential provocation, and that is something that supersedes or is able to counteract our present nuclear technology, like some kind of, I don't know.
So that makes it even worthless.
Yeah, well, if it makes it worthless, though, then all of a sudden the peoples who actually have the capacity to do that all of a sudden have a massive
Then should we
technological
not
advantage
work?
and capacity to blackmail other people. The main point I was making,
Precisely. So that's another reason to get rid of nukes. Because if someone had a power that was stronger than nukes, then you have another arms race, continually developing ways to kill people when we should be focused on ways to save
No,
people's
if you were to
lives.
what I
rid
think
of
Graham's
all-
actually saying is that what if someone had the technology to defend yourself from nuclear weapons? In which case, I would retort, then that's what we should be working on, not more nukes.
Hey, the Star Wars program. Ronald Reagan. He was trying
the
to.
main point
Just
I
as a
was
quick
actually
segue,
going
there's
to
a
make
Star
is
Wars
that if
pack
we
on
were
Steam right
to
now.
fall behind in that, and we were to let's say there's
No
obviously
one's
this is
launching a nuke.
massive it's a massive assumption, but let's say maybe there's an issue with or something that could be used to disrupt communications for our missiles or something along those lines.
EMP.
If we were to fall behind in that, nobody else is falling behind. You can't convince a global committee to stop developing their weapons in that sense. So if they would fall behind to a degree where in which we were able to piss some mad dictator off who hadn't fell behind,
Then they would die from the US's nukes.
then no, why would you start that though? You wouldn't want to be involved in something like that.
Nobody
If somebody's
will
gonna
start
launch those
it.
nukes, Britain would be wiped off the map, and
Nobody will start
we'd
it.
have loads of climate issues. But if you can help it, you don't want to be in the firing range of this. Alliances won't count for shit. You want somewhere to live on. If you're not going to be buggering off this planet, all of these oaths of if in the event of a nuclear war, we will help you obliterate the opposition. I reckon it would fall apart. I think any two nations that have made that kind of conflict, I think other nations in the world would try and distance themselves from that kind of confrontation.
Yeah, but this isn't like something where you have a day to meet with your diplomats and like, okay, we need to. No, it's fuck it. Red light, push it now. Like, there's no time to like, oh, rockets are headed right now.
If anybody launches a nuke, the US will push a button.
And things.
And when the US pushes a button,
the truth. If anyone launches a rocket, US is going to be involved in the conflict because of their oil interests and their aggressive interests. Like it's probably going to happen no matter what.
And then once the US are involved, everyone's involved.
It's true.
Yeah, that's how the modern world works.
And the US alone has enough nukes to nuke every major population center in the world. That's not adding the nukes in China, India, UK,
Russia.
France. Yeah, so
North Korea allegedly.
Russia. North Korea allegedly.
Islamic State allegedly.
Pakistan and India definitely. And Israel, yeah. So.
Well, no, my point is though, is that if you're going to have if you're going to get to that point, there's going to be a tension that builds up, and in that time, I'd imagine people would try and distance themselves, or make secret pacts with one another to have a ceasefire.
No, if there's tension,
if they thought that there was ever going to be. I mean, especially when you look at it in the modern world. I mean, people want to distance themselves from conflict in general. They want to dissociate themselves from proxy wars and look to be, sort of. I mean, that's why there's that entire outrage about in sort of modern geopolitical systems where various nations are tarnishing one another's. What's the word for it? No, it's not a matter of reputation. It's sort of like a shift on blame where, while simultaneously doing a similar thing, where they're trying to make themselves trying to avoid the concept of boots on ground so that they can secure anything, or secure anything that could be potentially of value to them. But at the same time, trying to make it look like the opposition is doing more of this and trying to be more exploitative than the other side that's fighting in that same proxy.
Okay, so
what are you trying to say?
But for a second, let's say that Graham, I don't agree with you, but let's say you're right, and that if let's say someone launched a nuclear conflict, it would be a two-sided war between, let's say, the U.S. and some other country, or maybe even just like India and Pakistan.
Don't get me wrong. I think the world would be fucked. I think you'd fuck over your climate. But I'm saying I don't think the world
No, I'm
would
not
be
talking
immersed
about
in
climate.
fire.
I'm not talking about climate. I'm saying if not everyone reacts, then nukes don't become a deterrent. They become an actively usable weapon because, oh, we found out that we were able to launch these babies and not everyone launched them back. So now we got a weapon to take land. Okay, so like to me, there's no reason to have a nuclear weapon. It's so destructive, so ridiculously powerful. It not only destroys people, it destroys land. So if you're trying to use whatever you just attacked, it's unusable now. You know, it'll be unusable, especially with the nukes we have now. Thank God, the only two times we've actually nuked population centers was in World War II, and at that time the bombs were so not advanced that now people can still live there. But nuclear weapons are to the point now where population centers are absolutely fucked if we launch rockets at them or drop bombs or they've got like, I don't know, 3 different ways of deployment nowadays. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that my solid opinion is there's absolutely no reason for nuclear weapons to be on the planet. It's just another way of throwing stones at people, and we don't need
add
more.
To this?
Yeah.
And if everybody says we're not going to disarm because nobody else is going to disarm, then nobody will ever disarm. That's just how it works. Somebody has to be the first to disarm.
Someone has to be the bigger man, and who better than the British Empire? Because it'll definitely not be America. Nope. Even if we, like, if the U.S. started disarming right now at full capacity, we wouldn't be done for like another 30 years.
You know what? I actually don't want it to be. Because while Europe is disarming, the US will still keep them safe in that regard. You know what I mean?
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, we've pretty much got enough nukes for everyone.
One thing I would say is that in terms of budget for this kind of thing, which is really the main concern nowadays, because I don't think nuclear war is ever really going to be something that's going to come about, just because the way in which we fight wars nowadays has changed. As you said, there's not really anything to gain from nukes. They're just, you know, a methodology of flexing your muscles and like as I'm saying, like way down the line, perhaps in some, you know, world alien to what we know today, where major countries are, you know, descended into authoritarian rule or whatever.
I like this.
Essentially, whatever system is that could possibly be in place to give you that much of a power dominion over people, that you would actually be able to initiate something like this with support of people. I think the main thing that they should be spending that money on is scientific research and the general general advancement of the kind of technology that could be used to
improve people's lives.
Not just improve people's lives, but I mean, from a point of view of a defense budget, I mean, you've got to consider in the event of this is that, you know, perhaps it won't be the country that can throw the biggest rocks if you're looking at a defense. It might be some new revolutionary technology that enables you to survive it, that enables you to survive this hell on earth apocalypse. You know, maybe some way of terraforming highly irradiated land, maybe some way of
like I don't know,
a Garden of Eden creation kit.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. No, just kidding.
I'll get you a British Coke.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
That wasn't the point of the Garden of Eden creation kit, though. It was a.
It was literally.
It was a narrative tool for resettling after. It wasn't. Oh, actually, hang on. I've just defeated my own point.
Yeah. Because the word you used was terraforming. That
and you said surviving. Yeah, you did use terraforming.
Yeah, you pretty much described the Garden of Eden creation kit.
Yeah, but I get.
Ron couldn't have said it better himself.
I think I get where you're coming from. I think I get where you're coming from. But here's the thing: like when you talk about budget, it is more expensive to renew the weapons than it is to disarm. At the end of the day, and I'm not saying that's the end of all our troubles. I'm not some Nigel Farage putting all of our blame on one little topic. But if we were to scrap this program, we would just absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, you can ask any financier, be in the surplus. Did you watch any of the debates where any of his questions he would talk about immigration?
To be honest, no, I'm not I didn't watch it. No.
I tried. I went into the first debate and I thought, you know what, this guy, he's probably not that bad. There's probably tons of stereotypes that, I'm not gonna act on the headlines. I'm gonna listen to him. Every single question he said, well, we could fix this by reforming our immigration system, by scrapping our foreign aid budget. Every question, every single question. I tried very hard. I can't. I can't.
Foreign aid is a pretty big problem, though. I mean, in terms of the amount of money we actually spend on it, because it's being used for political leeway. It's not going back to. Well, it's not even really helping the people it's being sent to. I mean, it's not being utilised by the bodies that are responsible for taking this kind of these.
You
kind
know
of
what would help
anyway.
foreigners? Creating renewable resources. Anyway, but so this foreign aid, how much are you guys spending? How much are you guys? No, there's no reason to use okay, yeah, fission, that's great, but we already have enough technology to power the entire planet. If you had a small portion of the state of Nevada, which by the way most of it is desert. If you had about, I think it was 50 square miles of the state of Nevada dedicated to solar panels, you could power the entire United States with more than enough energy.
But you got to transport that.
Can I quickly
transport what? Glass? Silicon?
No, you've got to. It's all well and good to have that energy in that sort of localized space, but you've got to transfer that energy. You can't just put a point A to B wire. It's not going to travel.
Infrastructure is far enough advanced to transport electricity over and the idea.
You're going to lose it all to heat.
By the way, the point of it was not to put all this in Nevada. That was just an example of the space required. Obviously, this would be spread out in local areas across the United States. I'm saying that that's the amount of land you need, and we have it across the United States. Other countries have the space needed, and it's not just solar panel.
To be honest, Marshall, I kind of think it's a silly idea what you're saying there. I don't think that that's practical. In case of fission,
you think renewable?
I don't think solar is practical at all. I think it's a farce, to be honest, because although it's useful for some things, in terms of the expensiveness of creating those panels, Marshall,
and
the amount of
billions of dollars.
How? Think of the initial upfront cost of that. And the unreliability of your energy source. Personally, I'm all for fission. I think fission is the future.
Oh, I think the sun goes out a lot. It's out right now.
Why? No. Yeah, but bloody hell, Marshall, clouds and things, and
solar panels, even when there are.
It's not only subject to.
They use solar panels in.
Plus, night is a pretty good reason maybe not to have
your
entire infrastructure
solar rays
on
at
solar
night.
panels.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah.
Every time you can see something, a solar ray is hitting your eye. Right? That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Not only that, it's not just solar panels. It's wind.
Yeah, but it's ambient. It's not anything to make it.
All Great Britain on wind.
Generate a significant amount of energy. Anyway, the point I was making though is that it would be much easier to, in the case of what we're already doing with fusion. Sorry, what was I saying? In the case of fission. The main issue with fusion as a method of generating energy is the upfront energy requirement to catalyze the reaction. If you put a fission generator next to a
someone's doing A-level science.
Sorry?
Someone's doing A-level chemistry.
Physics.
Oh.
A-level physics. Yeah.
Yeah. Physics people suck. My A-level physics, well, not mine, but the A-level physics class in my school went from 20 people to 3 over the course of 2 years.
I like physics. I especially like astrophysics, not necessarily just basic.
It wasn't specifically the physics class. The biology class cut to 2 people. The chemistry class cut to 5 people. It's all the sciences got dropouts. Just hard, very difficult subject at A-level. I'm sure Greame will attest.
Yeah. Well, not so much at AS level. I think.
Interesting. That's why they all dropped out.
Okay, so I think
that's my personal take on it, though. But,
yeah, like some people.
I can understand why some people would find it very difficult, but to me, it all makes sense because the way in which I've learnt about these subjects is not. I think the main difference between me and my peers in terms of learning that subjects is that I've taught myself in a very different way. My peers don't really have the background reading and stuff to be able to have a lot of those concepts click instantaneously. So I think I've had a much easier time with it because to me, I'm just, sort of
You're a genius.
well,
Just come out and say
expanding
it.
upon my own reading, and memorizing perhaps certain summarized physical systems like moments and things like that.
Yes, moments.
I'd like to hear Putty's opinion on renewable energy.
Well, through that entire conversation, I had a stat ready for foreign aid, and I wasn't listening through half
Oh
of it.
shit! Sorry, yeah, let's hear. How much money is spent on foreign aid?
Last year it was
How we
11.
got to that.
Last year we spent 11.7 billion, which is a lot of money. So that's 0.7% of GDP, which is almost half of our military budget. So yeah, it's worth looking at definitely, but just scrapping it entirely is just a bad idea.
No, you don't scrap it entirely, but you've got to change where it's going for a start. And the thing that pisses me off is actually yeah. Have you guys ever seen the Ricky Gervais show?
I've
I
seen
have
Ricky
not.
Gervais in episodes, but not in anything else.
Right. Okay. One thing that I always find quite ironic about that show is that basically the entire thing is based around sort
Extras,
of taking the piss out this sort of like very sort of East London-esque guy called Carl Pilkington.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the sort of stupider things, it's intentional. I think it's intentional comedy, regardless of his sort of background and education stuff. I don't think he's as thick as he sometimes presents himself to be. But half of the time, I often find that while they're taking the piss out of Carl's actually made a really poignant point, and they're just sort of like laughing it off as if it's nothing. But Carl, you've actually got something there. You've summarised the system, but at the same time, you've also made sort of a very concise and astute observation. And when it came to one of those episodes, it was one actually talking about foreign aid, and I remember he was talking about how sort of companies use it to improve their reputation. It was when he was forced on one of their sort of like little expeditions to get his reactions, where he was in the some rainforest somewhere, and he was talking about how a company had sent him a laptop and they were using it as a breadboard, and there was a toilet which was just like a vase of shit in the middle of the jungle that had also been sent to them.
Well, he is a comedian, so he will make jokes.
But at the same time, you could compare that a lot to foreign aid, because I mean, parties can use that as a lever for siphoning off more funds, perhaps to illegitimate practices. I mean, personally, I'm going into being a bit of a conspiracy theory nut, which doesn't work so well when you're not being particularly poignant when you're speaking because of a coffee low. But the point I was making is that
Go get some. Go. It's okay. You can't go get some.
I'm gonna finish my point. I'm gonna finish my point if it kills me. The point I was making is that these parties can use it as a political lever, because nobody wants to no, you don't know, because I haven't told you. Nobody wants to have the starving Libyans or some sect of people which have made themselves notorious for extreme poverty to go without British support and help. But at the same time, it's not being really used in that capacity. And I think to make yourself look more sympathetic, I mean, utterly pointless measure, and you can't remove, or you could remove. I don't think you should remove a budget for perhaps humanitarian acts, but I don't think it's a humanitarian practice. I think it's a political practice. Coffee.
Okay, one sec. I agree with you. Before you go, I kind of agree with you. For once.
Oh, thanks.
We don't agree on much, do we? All right.
Get back.
Okay. You know what foreign aid does buy? 39 blueberries. So now
It does.
we can cover.
Wait, Putty, I never did hear, real quick, I never did hear opinion on renewable energy.
I think it's the future. It's got to be.
Right?
Right? Like, non-renewable energy just seems like a bad idea to rely on in the long term.
Like, in any term.
Yeah, but like, in the long term, it's not going to be there anymore.
Growing needs and exponentially decreasing supply. Something's going to have bad
Something's going to give, yeah.
I've got to say something here. thing is with renewable energy, when you're talking about energy in general, is that with stuff like fission, you're looking at the constituent parts of what makes up matter, what makes up the capacity to do work, which is energy. So if you're utilizing something at the source like that, it's going to be a lot more efficient with something than fission than a solar panel, which is collecting because I mean
it's connecting energy from a sun
with the fission that's being caused by the sun.
fusion.
That's photons being emitted in a 1-for-1 ratio due to the excitation change in energy levels of electrons due to that high pressure environment. But the fact of the matter is, those photons of those frequency wavelengths of light, the amount of energy that they convey in comparison to, let's say, a single fused atom, which no, it's not renewable. Well, it is renewable because of the equals mc squared. But I mean, if you look at is the thing about our universe in terms of a greater grand scheme of things, is that regardless of what we do, we're always going to run out of energy because at the moment, every single study that's ever been done in relation to okay, that's a hyperbolic statement. The point I'm making is that there is a lot of evidence suggesting that the general because our universe is expanding and because of essentially we're losing energy over time from the system to the wider environment, which is an ever expanding environment. So eventually everything is going to lose its capacity to do work. I don't think sort of sacrificing a few infinitesimally small things to power huge power stations. I mean, these are the constituent parts of what make up energy. If you can utilize something like fission,
dude, you gotta back off from all the science talk. One, this is a political show. No, I'm just kidding.
Two,
you
need coffee.
Two, our problems with this is not the science behind. We know fission creates power. Now, I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to argue, whether fission is more efficient or not. One thing is definitely for sure, it's way more dangerous.
Graham, you can argue better when you have coffee.
Fission is way more dangerous, and considering using the power that our sun already provides is not dangerous, and it can power the entire world with the resources we have. There's no reason not to use that over something that could kill all of us. Okay? And it's a fact.
Wait. Solar energy can kill us. Helios 1.
Oh, yeah, yes, if you direct the energy into a high-powered laser. But the solar panels themselves will not kill you.
But if we give people solar technology, I mean, they're evil, right? They'll just make it into...
You're right. I can't think of any technology that has been applied to nuclear science other than powering our homes. Thank you. No, but
full circle.
Exactly. Yeah. Graham definitely needs coffee.
Actually,
here he is.
Before I go, I'm going to say one thing.
Where have you been? I thought, get the fucking coffee, dude. You could have gotten it twice over.
I want to spark an argument between you two because I don't think you've considered this. There is one major sort of persistent cycle our planet goes through, which isn't really being utilized at the moment, which I think, potentially in terms of, sources of energy that don't require any sort of significant apparatus to utilize. And that's waves or tide-based power stations.
I completely agree with that. That's definitely something that could power all of Great Britain. Easy.
I mean, a moon going around our planet, in a persistent cycle, that's not going to be changing in system anytime soon, dragging all of the water across the surface. There's a huge amount of energy to be utilized.
Piccolo will soon blow up the moon to prevent the Saiyans from turning into monkeys. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Certainly a lot cheaper than solar.
I am definitely for...
now get your coffee.
I am definitely for wave energy. It's very efficient, and it just makes sense. Not only that, with wave energy, you could power. This is a whole nother thing. But I think in the long-term future, we have to think about living on the ocean because eventually, if we just keep reproducing like we are, at one point we're going to run out of land. And so I think wave.
Although still, like there was a stat in the UK, I think only 7% of land is built on.
Yeah, no, there is a lot of land. I mean,
you're talking really long term, though. I know.
Yeah, like, okay, here's an example to give you an example of like how many people we have now is not that much, but we could have a lot more. Every person, if they were squeezed together, like standing next to each other, foot into foot, they could all fit in the state of Rhode Island, which is a tiny, tiny, tiny state. All the people in the world could fit into the state of Rhode Island if they were standing up against each other. But that's not really a good example because that would be the worst quality of life ever.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Who's shit again? Everyone shit. We're always shitting. Anyway, but yeah.
But they're gonna repopulate like.
Oh,
an
at that
average
point,
of, like,
yeah, the
2 or 3
reproduction rate
times.
in a
Yeah.
community that's that close
No,
together.
I'm just saying, like in real life, the 8 billion or 7 billion or whatever the accepted figure is these days.
It's just over 7.
Right, 7
Yeah.
is going to repopulate what, an average of 2.5 times, 3 times. So that population is going to exponentially grow within the next 50, 40 years, whatever time like the average human life cycle is, and. Yeah, you're right. It's gonna by the end of this century, there'll probably be 30 billion, if as a rough estimate.
I don't know if that's been the estimate that's been proposed. I know that in the next 20 years, I think they're saying 9 to 12 billion, but I don't know. Well, that's an estimate we could look at to see how many people. Definitely a lot of people are being born.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
people are living longer, which is great.
Mhm.
But the problem is the longer people are living, we're not dealing with our base problems, which is the fact that we're not providing for everyone on the planet, and we can't keep trying to focus on making people live longer when there are other people who are still dying and starving.
So there's apparently a recent study. This was in September 2014. Overturned that 20-year consensus, and said that in 2100 there will only be 11 billion people in the world. Interesting to see why there's obviously something that's
That
peaked.
seems shifty. That seems like a really low ball number.
Yeah.
Like 100 years.
There's apparently some sort of peak theory that we're gonna peak in population. I mean, it's happened
Yeah, but
before.
then we'd have to stop. We just have to start killing kids for
No,
this.
like a plague, like the potato famine. The potato famine, like, was a serious decrease on UK population. Seriously.
Well, okay. Here's one thing, and this is an economist theory. Is that before we discovered oil, the planet could only sustain 1 billion people, and as soon as we discovered oil and started harnessing it, the population grew exponentially because of the amount of farms we could create. But like, I feel that we're past the point where oil is the catalyst for all power, and we can create a more efficient world using renewable resources, and there's no reason for us not to, except for the fact that there are profit motives driving our entire country, our entire world, and these profit motives hold back progress in the long run. If it doesn't make you money, there's no reason to do it in our world, unless you feel like it, which a lot of billionaires don't feel like it. So anyway, but that's just my thing about
You're
what?
really slanted.
Slanted towards what?
Just like you drive that motive a lot.
I think it's very important.
Oh shit! Sorry, I just tipped my mic over.
I think it's very important. And if someone one day, and I'm very open to the ideas of economic theory, if someone one day walks up to me and tells me a better idea that could solve our problems in a better way, I'm all for it. But most of the time when people come up to me to talk to me about this, they're usually talking to me about how naive I am and how we can't help everyone out. And that to me is talk I just want to throw in the closet. Because saying that we can't help people is basically like saying fuck everyone, Like, to me, I'd rather be naive than whatever the hell most of the people are on, I'd rather be someone who is focused on progressing humanity as a whole than saying, well, we can't, so we might as well just keep living how we are.
I don't like the people that don't have a theory on how to make the world better. I don't like those type of people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people just think we should just keep living how we are, and that's just gonna completely fuck us all over. And that's not
I hate the world.
That's not even going into global warming, and the fact that our ice caps are melting, which we're gonna have to deal with that in the next 50 years.
Ow.
What?
I just got hit in the face by something.
Oh, I thought you were like, ouch, she brought up global warming. Oh, shit.
Yo, it's global warming and shameless whoring. It's Puddcast.
Oh, when will we continue using? We just continue using that forever. I think I can hear Graham. Is that Graham? Is he back?
Yeah, I'm back.
He's back
Just
from the coffee
listening in.
abyss.
Yeah.
Did you get iced coffee or warm coffee?
Did you by
Cappuccino,
chance put 28
because I'm that
blueberries in that
cultured.
coffee?
Sorry?
Did you by
Blueberries?
chance?
What?
Well, I hope he didn't, because that was the rest of our blueberries.
Yeah, we've only got 28 blueberries left. So did you put them in the coffee?
No.
Thank God. Thank God, because we'd have to end this shit right now.
Yeah. So that's all right. So next
Is this a
topic
giveaway
then.
or something?
No, we'll have to tell Graham later. Anyway, it's a code. Not really a code.
Right.
It's pretty obvious at this point.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, but what were
thanks.
you talking about? Okay, so like you said, this is the last time. Because I want to cover what's it called? Mod. I want to cover a little bit to Modgate at the end of this cast.
Oh, okay. We should have covered that before we started, but okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, I want to dedicate a little time to that, and we can talk about it more in the next podcast.
Maybe we should just talk about it completely next week.
Yeah, but I want to touch on it
Okay.
because I don't really entirely. I don't know everything about it. I'd love to hear just stuff about it. And
Okay, I'll give it 5 minutes. When we've got 10 blueberries left, we'll start.
okay.
And next week we'll talk about it for half an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So anything. So Putty, you said there are two issues right now reigning in UK politics.
Yeah, but immigration is by far the biggest one.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. It just clicked what Modgate is. I have heard about this. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
The sale of the mods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, as long as there's nobody complaining in the comments, we can bring you back next week if you want.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah. So the two issues are immigration and the budget.
Yeah, I mean, like, immigration is the big one. Like, it's the social issue that everyone cares about. But the other one that's been raging for God knows how long, and the one that's come up again, is that between the two major parties, there's two very similar ways of running the budget, but different in their own little way. The Conservatives, they're promising mass cuts again to public services, whereas promising to keep taxes around the same, although I'm not sure I believe that. And Labour are promising smaller cuts, not no cuts, smaller cuts, and
how they're gonna do
higher
that.
taxes.
Okay, so Conservatives rob the middle class blind.
Yeah, pretty much, and the public sector.
Yeah.
And everyone who ever needs a public service.
So I can add my opinion on this, and it's probably not the general. Well, it's politics in the U.S.
Are you saying that we need a resource-based economy? Is that where you're going with this?
No. So talking strictly about the political issues in the political world that we live in, I would say I definitely am for more. I'm definitely not for cuts to social spending. I think that's not the solution to any problems. In fact, there have been many things there. Okay, so for a long time in America, trickle-down economics have been prevailing, and it's the reason why Republicans, one of the many reasons why Republicans are getting elected so much here, is the idea that, well, billionaires know what to do with their money, so if you give them more money, they're going to use it to create more jobs. Well, that's a myth. Okay, billionaires don't create more jobs when you give them more money, and they don't spend it because they just save it or invest it. So they have no money to. They don't spend it. I mean, they might spend a little bit, but they're not going to spend $1 billion. So economic theory not only suggests, but it's just a fact when you look at the statistics on it. If you give money to the poorer classes, they have to spend it. They have no choice other than not to spend it. And so any money you give to the lowest classes in a society is going to be pushed right back into the economy. It's an immediate cash injection into your economy. So if you have a failing economy, give any money left over in your national budget to the lowest classes. After that, put it into infrastructure. Because those two things have been shown by economic theorists to basically drive an economy forward more than anything else. Giving money to cutting social services is the opposite of what you want to start doing. Cutting funding to infrastructure is the death of an economy. But that's my opinion from it. What do you guys think?
Do you want to start, Guy?
I've got mixed feelings about that one. I mean, the thing is that social services to me is a bit of an umbrella term.
Yeah, is very
a thing
broad.
that most people complain about. See, here's the thing. One of the reasons that UKIP has gained a lot of weight, and I think Paddy will agree on this as well, is that regardless of what way you look at it, there are an awful lot of people in this country who are rather cheesed off, so to speak, with at least the sort of what's the word for it? The sort of political rhetoric that they've been hearing and the sort of identifiable evidence. So I'm not saying it's
From
it
who?
might be a case of what's it? There's a term for this where in which you attribute something as a causation when it's just
Correlation?
simply a symptom.
Correlation does
It
not
might be a
equal
matter of
causation.
Sorry.
Correlation does not equal causation.
Exactly. It might be a matter of that, but yeah, when like for instance, I'll answer this with an analogy. What my personal thoughts on this?
Oh, great vagueness.
Sorry, not an
Carry on.
analogy, a anecdote.
Oh,
I have
okay, that's better.
my family. We are actually on quite good terms with a bunch of people who are the very definition of benefit thieves. Uh, when I was little, actually, that's not really the relevant part. The
One
main
sec,
point is
Marshall.
that
Do you know
one of
what
my
benefit
mother's
thieves are?
friends.
Oh, I'm assuming it means people who receive money from the government but do not work. Or
Okay, so if he knows what it is, then the audience should go on.
it's a very common. I mean, the term itself just
Okay.
lends a. It's a very similar term to it here, and the definition just seems the same. So yeah.
Okay.
But most of
And
the people
in the
refer to
case of
there are
these people,
Mexicans or Polish here.
it's one of my mother's friends, and the thing is about my mother's friend is that she's married a man who supposedly has some kind of mental disability. Um, not entirely sure. It never has really been sort of I've never really looked into it that much. But the one thing I do know about the person is that he seems a very able-bodied person. He doesn't seem like he's quite active. They've had like seven kids, yeah, and they're raking in the benefits from that
Well,
as
his
well.
mental disability does not hamper his sperm count.
And yeah, definitely, but no, his disability also doesn't prevent him from sort of participating in active sports with his children, or you know, it doesn't appear to impede him in any way in sort of conversation or sort of generally being able to sort of converse with him. So as far as I'm concerned, he's absolutely fine. But the thing is that essentially all they do, they don't work at all. All they do is essentially they've had a bunch of kids and raking the grants from that, and they sort of like pull and tweak things to do with the fact that he's the supposed provider of the family isn't working. And this, my mother's friend, they go on like holidays to like Spain and stuff every bloody year. And like if you go to the house, they sort of like they live in this sort of council provided home, and they've got like a 40-inch plasma screen TV in there, and you know they're quite a nice car as well. And the thing is that they're not all that exclusive. There are quite a few people like that in this country, and when you sort of you look at the class of people who sort of are take quite a bit of pride in the fact that yeah they are sort of like of the lower class, but then they work hard and they sort of sneer at the sort of like political class who sort of make massive fusses about really you know unimportant issues, whereas they're sort of getting by and doing all of these things in a sort of a very very sort of charm of the God. There's a I'm trying to think. It's a quote from Shakespeare.
We
Sort of
don't
very
need
astute
it.
and very. Anyway, the point I'm making is that there are quite a few of these people, and they've caused quite. There are serious issues with some of our social so my main point, going back to the very start with where this argument initially initiated, is I think that the spending is misrepresented. I don't think that I think a large portion of our budget goes to unnecessary and exploitable forms of social services rather than directly to our infrastructure, because our infrastructure sucks balls. I mean, London Underground song. You ever heard that one?
No.
Infrastructure is pretty good, actually. I disagree with that. Public transport is pretty good.
I think Britain's infrastructure is a hell of a lot better than America's, than the US.
Privatization of repairing roads, though, and the sort of the countless companies that go over it and undo the work of the, the previous company that was assigned to do the repairs on that road, and just sort of constantly redigging up the same patch of road. Things like
true,
that.
But if you
need
think
to
about how
change.
easy it is to travel around our country, as opposed to like a lot of other countries, like we have a lot of good road systems, like big road systems. Talk about the motorways, which do get repaired a lot, and you're right, too much. But like the train systems, the bus systems.
Well, yes,
most
but
part-
here's the thing. It could be better. It could be significantly better.
Yeah,
If you want to invest in infrastructure, it could be significantly better.
but I don't think it's a major issue. I think I think.
I don't think
making sure-
overcrowding on the trains is a major issue, but things like delays on them. And I think the real big one, as I was saying, was that thing I was referencing where, when we outsource our road repairs, and the fact that multiple companies will be assigned to the same job and undo the work of the previous one. That is a serious issue.
Yeah, you're right. But it's like I think it's more important that we don't look at those things and say cut public spending, when the more important thing is making sure that everybody in this country, whether
Reassign
they
it.
work or not, is on a living wage. And we could reassign it from the public spending bill, or we could reassign it from other things, like I don't know, the Trident nuclear weapons program, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Don't get
military
me wrong,
spending
actually,
in general.
I think you might have swayed my opinion slightly on that one, buddy, because I was doing a little bit of reading post our first discussion about the Trident nuclear weapons program.
You've been reading during the.
No. During our first discussion a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
I think one of the main reasons I sort of agree with you to some extent there is the fact that I think that way too much of that budget actually goes to the development of such weapons and development for the composite materials and the restriction of access of like enforcing the security of those materials as well. So MI5 stuff as well, where and all of the operations and all of the infrastructure that's required to make sure that that kind of stuff can't be smuggled out. I think that's a poor allocation. I think it could be far better spent.
Okay, that's interesting. I that's not my point, but I think you're I think you very much think we have a very clumsy and ineffective government bureaucracy. And
that's democracy for you. It's camel designed by the camel is a horse designed by a committee.
Okay, well, Finland has a great thing going on.
I don't think democracy is inherently bad, but if you look at our system, first past the post, we don't vote for our leader at all. There are different local governments can be ran by different parties and different than the actual overall government. You get people in Ireland who have been elected as MP and they refuse to attend Parliament in abstination. It's a mess. You're
how
right.
How does voting for the Prime Minister work in Britain?
The party with the most seats. It's not always. Okay, so basically the Queen invites someone to become Prime Minister, and it's usually the party with the most seats. Yeah.
So you guys don't vote for the Prime Minister?
Our Queen has had the benefit over these years of being very inactive in the affairs of.
Okay, I thought the way our president was fucked
previous monarchs have had a much more active role in a much more active role in British politics.
Because previously
she's sort of taken a backseat.
Because previously people would resign every year or two, whereas now it is we do wait until elections, and usually we have a majority. It's usually they have 51% of the seats in Parliament. It's obvious the Queen is going to make him Prime Minister. Correct, right. Last time it was a little more confusing because they had applications, like there was the Liberal Conservative application, it was the Labour application, and obviously the Liberal Conservative was much higher than the Labour seats, so that was the one that was chosen.
Don't they have to be vetted by the House of Lords as well? Is there another step to it?
I think there is another step, you're right, yeah.
Here, the way we vote for our president is pretty weird. There is a direct popular vote, which actually means nothing. Well, it's sort of like a suggestion that can be ignored. And then there's the electoral college vote, which is sort of like this No one. I've asked lots of people who they are, and no one fucking knows. But it's supposed to be. The idea of it was when the country was formed that the mass population were too uneducated to make the decision of voting for the president. So they would choose an electoral college of upper class, well enlightened people to do the voting for them. And the popular vote would be more of just a suggestion. Well,
No.
200 years later, where hopefully most of the country is literate, that system still exists, and a sort of unelected electoral college is the actual person who elects the president.
I thought the people in that area elected the people in the electoral college, right?
I've never voted for an electoral college member.
Okay.
No one does.
So when you vote, it doesn't matter at all.
Well, you vote for senators and representatives, but you don't. But here's the thing: most elections, the electoral college has swayed with the popular vote, so no one's ever made a big deal of it, except in 2000 when the popular vote swang with Al Gore, but the electoral college gave the election to Bush.
Right.
Anyway, that was a huge thing. But the point is, I think it's a really weird system. I think there's no reason for it. If we're not to the point where we can trust the common man, that we're basically in some sort of shadow government. So yeah,
the world will not change overnight just because David Sarif wills it.
That's true.
Yes.
But he's not a real person. So.
Is it ready?
Anywho.
We're ready in Montreal.
God damn it, buddy. He's memorized every line from the game.
Sure he has.
They'll use whatever name suits their interest. The Bilderberg Group. What does it matter, Adam?
Stop. So,
chasing ghosts.
But yeah, I think the world has gone too far from direct democracies. I think definitely the idea that we shun direct democracy and here's what I was told when I was little for the reason we vote for representatives. Like, no joke. This was what my teachers told me when I was little, is the reason we vote for representatives and not for we vote on things, like we don't vote on bills ourselves. They said, well, we don't have enough time. I was like, well, we should fucking make time for that. That's important. Anyway, but I think the fact that no country really gives direct democracy a chance that I know of. There might be a tiny country there that does, but
when it comes to we have certain issues on which a referendum is required. In which case, that is a vote of the entire country.
Yeah, referendums. I'm not sure the last time the only times we have referendums here is like a state, like at the state level. Like, for example, Colorado recently had a referendum for marijuana. And so those will be the only referendums we usually have, or like social issues like that. Which are becoming a lot more popular here, referendums on marijuana. They're cropping up every election. I'm thinking this election, a lot more states are going to become legal. But anyway.
On our social issues, we don't tend to have referendums. We tend to have a free vote where parties don't matter anymore, and it's the 652 people in Parliament, their own moral principles drive them rather than their party morals. But
well, that's how I think everything should be.
With 10 blueberries remaining, I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a quick teaser for next episode. 5.
Oh Christ! I've just seen the time. Oh fuck.
Graham,
oh shit, that's not good.
This podcast will just wear your life away. Anyway, but quick teaser for the next episode. We're gonna talk about what I don't know if Putty gave it this name. If it did, it's very clever.
It's not.
Oh, okay. Modgate. Now, it is a pun on Watergate. If you don't know what that is, we'll talk about that next episode. But yeah, what do you guys think about it so far? Basically, from what I know, is that Steam is going to try out with Skyrim specifically. I think
they just cancelled it.
Yeah,
yesterday.
They don't.
Oh, they canceled it?
Yeah, it's no longer a thing.
Oh, really?
I don't know whether in the long term they're going to go back to it. I would assume eventually they will. But
everyone complained. I'm assuming everyone bitched immediately. I don't
think that's a bad thing, though, necessarily, though, because consider one thing. Yes, it's lovely to have mods, but I mean,
you knew he was going to do it, didn't you? You knew he was going to take the side.
No, hang on. This is quite an important point, though, because
consider
Valve
this.
as a company, they're making. There's an awful lot of value being generated by them, for them, by the community of people who make these things. So if you can feed a little bit of that back into the pockets of the mod curators.
Here's the thing. if they do this, if they seriously do this, no one will give a fuck about Steam, whatever it's called, creators. What is it called?
Steam Workshop.
Steam Workshop. They will all go to Nexus for
Nexus.
their mods.
Which
All
still okay.
and
Can
Nexus
I just?
still has better mods. Like
They have better mods. They have a better modding tool. They are more popular for Skyrim modding than the Steam Workshop, and Valve still thinks it's acceptable to take 75% of the revenue on something made by somebody else on a game they didn't even make. Even
Well,
on
that
TF2 and
is the main
Dota,
point.
it's fair enough because they made the game. It's their assets. That's another discussion for another day. They didn't make Skyrim. Bethesda did. Bethesda get like 5% of it, or even probably more than that. But the 25% is split between Bethesda and the actual maker.
And here's the thing: if they suggested a more organized way to donate to modders, donate directly, I'd be totally for that.
I think we've talked about this before with Killing Floor DLC. I talked about calling it donations instead of buying.
Well, and donations directly to the modder, and then some to the developer for the resources. But mods should not go to Steam.
To Steam?
I mean, the revenue, if there is any revenue, if there is any given Steam, it should only be for upkeep. You know.
Well, I mean, it's there. It's if the workshop's getting more popular, if the workshop is driving traffic to that mod, maybe 10%, maybe 20%, not 75.
This is greedy.
And how much were they thinking of charging for the mods?
I mean, there was a pack with like 26 weapons in it for a good $20 or something.
What?
I know.
I could get 1,000 weapons for free on.
There were individual weapons for like pence, and then there was like I think there was some graphics mods for £4 or £5, something like that. I mean, like, here's my. Do you mind if I make the final point because we're running out of time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all for giving modders a chance to make money because it will encourage a professionalism in the scene. There's no argument whether that's good or bad, but I'm all for giving them a chance to make money. One of the best things about PC gaming is I can go and make Deus Ex look like a modern game for free 12 years, 15 years after the game came out. I love PC gaming.
It'll take you a good while, but...
It'll take me a good hour or two. I can make Oblivion.
An hour or two?
Deus Ex's mods aren't that hard.
Final
Fantasy took me 8 hours. Final Fantasy 7 took me 8 hours.
To make the entire game like a modern game.
No, I mean find the mods and install them, not make the game.
Oh, dude, I thought you were talking about
Master texture artist.
I thought you were saying you could like remake the game, and I was like, wow, Putty, we need to be using your skills more for our projects.
I'm just saying I can go and I can find the mods to make Deus Ex a modern game in no time flat for free, and that's one of the best things about PC gaming. I love that. I think modders should be paid, but maybe I love the Patreon system. I love the Kickstarter system. These are all things that let people have great experiences, and the people that can afford it are the ones to pay for it.
And
well, the people that are really passionate. Sure. Just make it 2 blueberries long.
Specialized version of Patreon, or specialized
integrated into Steam. Patreon integrated into Steam Workshop.
Yes.
Boom.
Exactly.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, Marshall, do you have a quote for this week, or do you want me to do it?
Okay. As far as you can do that, but real quick, the Patreon system could work as far as like you can give $1 and you get all of access to all of their mods for I don't know. Because I don't know if sorry, I'm not sure how it would work, but I definitely am for that sort of donation system. But what were you saying?
Well, we need to figure out which one of us is doing the
I did it last time, so you can do it this time.
Damn it, I don't have a code.
You don't have one?
Do you have one handy? I can make one. I can think of one.
Think of what? How about we both race? Whoever one of us can make one the quickest.
Okay, Graham. You have 2 minutes to say whatever you want with no interjections.
Go.
Don't really have much to say. One thing I would say from way earlier in the stream, though, the thing with Meepo Jam you sent me.
I got one.
That's recent. 60 views. That's not the original. The original's gone.
Well, I told you the original gone, but you said you couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay, well, it also doesn't have the correct tags, because if you Google it...
Well, I YouTubed it, and it was like the 4th result. But...
Seriously? Not.
Yeah.
I just typed in Meepo Jam, and I couldn't find it at all.
Meepo's Jam, that might have been your problem. That might have been your problem right there. Alright, ready for this, Marshall?
No, he still has another minute and 30 seconds.
Oh, well, alright, you can take it.
Marshall, you have to come up with the Californian city to end it off after the quote, though.
Oh, shit.
Alright, so Graham, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, Graham, do you have anything you want to plug? Because we usually.
Anything I want to plug?
Well, we ask content creators if they have
YouTube
anything
channels,
they want
Twitter.
to plug. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Not really.
No videos.
Well, I have another channel, of course, that you know about, but I'm not sure whether it's really the right time for that kind of thing.
Is there a specific content series that you appear in? I don't know. I can't think.
Oh yeah, check out Napoleon Total War. Go on.
Hey!
Do yourself a favor.
It's updated
Give yourself a treat.
infrequently, but
Well, I mean, I could perhaps mention the other thing. My main concern at the moment is that actually got something recently from bloody. It's a year down the line, and that guy still fucking hates me.
Who?
Anyway, that's besides the point.
Boomers.
I don't know whether it's
Oh yeah, you ran out.
I'd rather not have that kind of activity again. I'd rather just sort of like build it up and just hope they don't, because I've changed everything. I've changed, usernames. I've changed my method of doing things. There's nothing that relates back to me there really.
Graham, we're cutting you off.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please thank our guest Graham for coming on today. He might be back next week, might not. And yeah, thanks for enjoying. We'll wrap things up with the quote of the week.
Would you like to remind them of the rules?
Yeah, if you can figure out which video of mine this is from, then check it down in the comments. Yet to have a winner. Probably we'll never have a winner.
What is the reward? I forget.
Well, once we find a winner, we'll figure it out.
I don't know. Anyway.
Iker Torres! Iker Torres! We are through to the semi-finals.
Stay clear.